Those are really important topics. And also responsive design. How do you think about responsive design, and what's currently, what's going to work out for your project? So the thinking process is really important there too. So we definitely integrate a lot of the digital topics into the basic visual design aspect. And all in all, I would say it's a general design education course where you would expect to take it in, like if you're in college, you would take it in the first semester.
Okay, okay. So then, say for someone who has finished a boot camp and they feel like they want to further develop their visual design skills, would you recommend this course? Would this be a good follow-up course and build on this?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes, we actually recommend it for all UX designers who are not confident in their visual skills, and a lot of them, they're actually, some of them said they're afraid of visual designs because they don't think they're good at it. But if they flip the thinking, right, like if you stop judging yourself to not good at something and be open-minded about trying it, maybe you'll find that you're not as bad. And actually, it's very important to learn even the basics, right? Because if you don't, then you're completely dependent on other designers who are better at visuals, and you always have to have someone to help you out with it, which isn't always the best case scenario, especially for your portfolio.
Nice. So in that, I also noticed that you are in the process of developing a creative entrepreneurship school. Is this like, okay, so I kind of want to know the thought behind that. Why is this important?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually recently did a focus group interview with a few participants, and we asked them this question: would you be interested in learning how to create your own business or how to freelance? We noticed that no school is really doing this, and this is a completely viable option for a career. People are most afraid of the uncertainty, right? So we discovered that during the focus group interview, and it's very understandable. Like, there's no guarantee. Like, how do you know if you have another client after the first client? And the thing is, not everyone is poised or is going to work happily in a corporate environment. They would actually thrive more if they actually do their own thing, but a lot of them don't know where to start. There are not a lot of materials for that. There are general entrepreneurship schools and programs for, like for women or for other groups, but it's not really focused on our industry. So it's not really like specific enough to kind of teach you those ins and outs of how to establish a business. So this is definitely a gap in the market, and almost all respondents, they said that actually is very interesting to them, and they would very much be interested in exploring this. So the questions that we have to answer and also kind of really have to figure out before we launch this program is, how do we help people who are looking for that, quote unquote, consistent work or stability or security? Honestly speaking, there is no such thing, right? Because even if you are in corporate, you're a full-time employee, there's no guarantee that you're still going to have a job in a few days. You could be laid off. So it's the thinking process that we have to really get out there and ask people to rethink this. Do you really think this is a guaranteed career? It may not be. So.
Right. And I want to say this is also, I feel like, a safety net type of measure. Maybe it'll take a while before you do get that job that you want.
Yes.
And so for that time being, you can be doing freelance work. You can be volunteering your skills with a nonprofit. And so I feel like this is great. I feel like this is an extension of that. You sometimes do need to look at all your options because you don't know, not all schools guarantee that you're going to have a job within a certain time that, you're done with the boot camp. So I feel like this is a great idea, actually. So let's go back to the beginning when I had asked you about that person looking for that first opportunity. And now they're having, the interview with that hiring manager. and now they've been asked, we don't feel that you have the right experience for this role. What do they say? How can they position themselves? What they want to hear, that they can have confidence in their abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is always a really challenging situation, no matter who you are. Even if you're not just beginning, if you're a seasoned professional, it's not the greatest thing to hear that other people don't believe in you. And it happens a lot, by the way. It really happens a lot, even if you don't hear it in your face, right? Sometimes people do think like that in the back of their head, but they just didn't tell you. So my first response would be, those are noise. It doesn't really matter what they think. But you have to position and present yourself in a way that will give you the most opportunity. So instead of hearing and listening to those doubts, whether that's in your head or in their head, you should strive for, okay, I no matter what you think I can do or I cannot do, there's a reason that we're talking now, right? So if we're talking, then I'm going to make my final pitch to you is, if you give me a few days, if you give me this amount of time, I'm going to show you what I can do in that amount of time. So it's kind of like a strategy that sometimes they share in other industries. They're like, okay, if you don't know how to do something, say that you can and find out how to do it later. It's not always obviously like the smartest strategy, but it requires that mindset, though, that you first have to believe in yourself. You first have to know that there's no worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you don't get hired. You'll move on to the next one. But if you don't try, if you don't say something and you accept that they doubt you, or you accept that you doubt yourself, then you actually guarantee yourself that it is going to be a failure.
I love that response. I do. I feel like this is going to empower a lot of our listeners to go out there and apply for those jobs. Not necessarily, don't apply for the ones that you're not, you don't have the skill set, but apply for the ones that you do feel confident about your skill set and you do want that opportunity. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Or actually, or the ones that you think you may not have all of them, but you're close. You're missing one or two. Apply anyway, because a lot of skills can be acquired very quickly. And if you have a learning mindset, you can do it. So
yeah. And I feel like a lot of people that are transitioning into a different career, they don't value what they're doing at that point. Not everyone can say, hey, I want to pivot into this. I want to grow in a new skill set. That already tells me a lot about that person, that they have a growth mindset, that they're willing to put themselves in an uncomfortable position because, they're looking ahead, they're looking into what, after that hurdle, what comes next. And so I like to tell my audience, give yourself credit for that, because just that you are able to do this and that you put yourself in that uncomfortable position is something that not everybody is equipped to do.
I agree so much. They're actually very brave already. So if you already have been brave, then you should keep being brave.
We'll now take a break and hear a word from our sponsor. But stick around as we continue our conversation with Stella Guan. Hola, hello UX friends. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free, gratis.
Also, they have user-friendly creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or computer.
And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
Plus, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Make it rain, baby!
Cha-ching, bling, bling!
Dollar signs.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation with Stella Guan. For this season, we are focusing on inclusion and diversity. And this is a question that I've been asking all my guests this year. Why do you think it's so important?
Yeah, well, obviously, if you don't see a lot of examples of people like yourself going into the field that you're aspiring to go into, then it's something that really is disheartening, and it makes you think that it's maybe not possible, or maybe the industry is not welcoming to people like yourself. We have to start seeing more and more examples of people, like ourselves, being successful, being promoted, and being valued in the industries that we work in. So I think it's really starts from how children, they always want to have that figure to look up to, right? And we as adults, we also need that, even if we're not children anymore. So if there's no example, then yes, you can be that example. It takes incredible amount of courage, and I wish, I hope everybody can do that. But chances are not everybody has the courage to say that I'm going to be the first, right? I'm going to be the first. I'm going to jump through all those hurdles. So it's important to include more and more people. And also the other thing is, if you don't include diverse voices, then your company is going to be restricted in a narrow mindset. And sometimes you don't even know that you're in a narrow mindset because you did not hear that, right? Because you're also restricted to your own experience. So if you include more and more voices, it's better business. It really is better business.
It does. It makes more sense. Yes, I agree with you on that. Okay, well, thank you so much. Now we move on to the fun question. Yeah. So this is just to give our audience, a little glimpse of your personality. And I really, I was looking for the correct, fun question to ask you. And being that you're a visual designer, I think this is maybe easy, might not be, but I'm going to ask you, if humans lost the ability to see all color except one, which color would you want to survive?
Oh, that's a really fun question. I love that. You mean from my perspective, right?
Yes.
Okay. Which color do I want to see? Wait, so does it include neutral colors or just anything?
I leave it up to you.
Leave it up to me. Okay. I would say white.
White. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think white is it's a balancing color to a lot of other colors, because if you don't have white and you have red, yellow, green, brown, it actually looks really messy. And white actually in design has many different meanings. It doesn't just mean color. It also is embedded in the word white space, which means empty space, right? So it actually gives you breathing room, and in a lot of ways it makes things look very clean and calming. So I think it's, in a world where there's no other possibility, I'd rather be calm than not. So yeah.
Nice choice. I like white too.
Well, as you can see, I have a lot of white furniture behind me. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Stella. We really appreciate having you here on Hello UX. We will be sharing all your social media handles through our social media. So everyone, please, be on the lookout and follow Miss Stella and all the wonderful things she's doing. And if you're still up there deciding what design school, give Path Unbound a look over and before you make up your mind. Well, thank you so much, Stella.
Thank you.
I was so happy to learn about Stella Guan and her calling to democratize design learning through her platform Path Unbound. We definitely need more Stellas in the tech space to fill in the gap for underrepresented minorities by offering free resources to all. I hope this episode inspires you to do that thing you're afraid of doing and seek those platforms and resources that will help you achieve it. Well, this wraps up episode 4, a conversation with visual designer and entrepreneur Stella Guan. Hello UX will be taking a summer break, but we'll be back in September to continue our season on inclusion and diversity and continue to bring you those conversations around topics that are important to emerging UX designers, but with an emphasis on how these in particular affect underrepresented minorities in tech. Before we leave, I would like to invite you to like us, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. If you would like for us to cover a specific topic or you're just dying to give us feedback, send us a message via our social media channels or an email to info@helloux.design. I'll repeat, info@helloux.design. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast available on all major streaming platforms. And now, a shout out to our sponsor, Overflow Digital. Overflow Digital, a digital agency specializing in all your professional website needs. We aim to create dynamic websites that will positively impact your business, meeting you at the crossroads of data, design, marcom, and UX.